Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Andsoph podcast. I'm so excited for today's episode. This is season 2, episode 10. And today on my podcast for ordinary people with extraordinary impact, I have my first ever co-host. You may remember her from season 1. Elon is back today, and Elon is one of my good childhood friends who was on season 1, and she's also a creative, and she helped me come up with some of the questions for this episode. So I'm super grateful for her. She's also a business owner as well, so I'm sure she can give y'all some tips and inspo.
Hi, Pookies.
Hey,
I'm glad
Pookie.
to be back on the episode. Thank you for having me, Sophie. I'm glad to be the first honorary guest co-host today. I remember meeting Hans because we went to COC together. We went to the same community college, and then we're hanging out with the same friend group. Actually, low-key, we met during COVID over Zoom.
This is full circle then. Oh my goodness. Well, that brings me to my next intro, which is our guest for today, which is my friend Hans. And he's also a creative. And I love photography, but Hans's photography is just like a different level. Like he makes me question if like my film degree was real because I am not producing stuff like that. Like
Girl.
it's so great. And he also actually has a business. He wanted me to clarify that to y'all. It's not just some cute little hobby, y'all. He has a business. So I'm so excited to talk about that and just catch up with you guys because I love catching up with y'all. And we had a FaceTime that kind of inspired this podcast. We're all tuning in from different places, like not close to each other at all.
Yes. And can I just say that me and Hans had a face like what we called like a week ago. And this is my first time talking to Hans, and I realized that he moved to Nevada. I didn't know this. So this first part is low-key gonna be us catching up.
So today we're going to be getting into first just more about your creativity through photography and just what kind of made you fall in love with that and what makes it kind of stand out. We also are going to talk about internal versus external validation, which I think is a very important topic, which leads into our last topic, which is self-identity. So first, before we do, this can be our quick, like, little catch-up session. You're in Nevada right now, and you're also married.
I found out that Hans got married through the show notes for today's for the podcast.
Not a lot of people have realized it yet. So we're like, oh, but yeah, yeah. So currently in Nevada, we're spending some time with some family. So my sister and my oldest sister and her husband. So we're like, you know what? For like the summertime, let's spend some time with them and just seeing just more opportunities, connecting more with the community, creative community, just kind of all over the place. We got married in early June. And so it was just a little wedding. For now, we do want to have like a celebration later down.
That's amazing. I'm really happy for you. And I was like so happy to hear that. I feel like it was like very subtly like said. So I was like, even when you said wife, I was like, wife. Like I was like, wait, wife? What? And then I was just like, oh my God.
Yes, I'm excited for you and all of your creative adventures too, because seeing your content online has been incredible.
A lot of the reels, she's been the editor behind it. And right, I'm like, okay,
She's real good.
I love that. And I'm looking forward to the content that will come. I'm a Trixie and Hans fan. I'm obsessed. Literally, I was like, God,
Really.
this is what I mean when I say healthy.
with your partner, it's also learning the language that they speak, and they learn your language as well. Yeah, she's like the sweetest, most adorable, precious soul ever.
I'm crying. I love the way you guys talk about each other.
From the last time I was on Andsoph
It was a year
podcast,
ago. Yeah.
a year ago, yes, I graduated college. That was fun. And I got my passport so I could go on trips.
She's free. She's free.
And then I also did like a soft launch on my social media with my man, who is also lovely and incredible and amazing. And all of the things. Because I guess that is also kind of a subtle, but I feel like I haven't been that subtle about it. I feel like most people know now. But it's funny because I remember us talking a little bit about dating in our last episode. And I think there was probably some perspectives and advice given around the topic of like knowing your worth and not settling. And I will say you should know your worth and you shouldn't settle because it's worth it. It's so worth it to be with someone that is truly amazing and you're not settling for and you thank God for every day. And you're like, "Ugh." Like find you a man that talks about you like the way Hans talks about his wife, you know?
And
And
period.
a woman that talks about you the way I talk about my man.
Exactly. I want nothing less.
It's really healthy, really good, really exciting.
Yay!
Thank you. Sophie, do you have any updates you want to share from the last time?
Just, I'm still doing the podcast, which is good. I feel like I have become a lot more secure since that last episode we recorded. I feel like I've also experienced more self-worth, but just within my friendships, like in general, I think I've been able to spend a lot of good quality time with people since then and build like more deep and genuine friendship. Yeah, that's my update. I'm just like I feel a lot more secure, confident, open.
I love that. And I have witnessed it, and it's beautiful to see. And I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
Don't settle, because
No,
Sophie Way deserves the best of the best.
thank you for that. I needed that. Everybody,
And your life is full of lots of love. Love isn't just about romantic love.
We love you, Soph. Yeah.
I love you guys too. So, my first question for you about your photography. I was wondering what has been in your creative process of pursuing this. Now, like in your business, I've seen you've done like graduation shoots, but you also really specialize in couples photography, which I think is really nice. And I love seeing like the cinematic shots where I'm just like, this literally feels like it was taken out of a movie. I was wondering if you've had like what your most memorable or challenging photo shoot has been so far. What about it reminded you of why you love doing what you do?
It would actually start off with a graduation shoot that one of the photos that, or the photo shoot sessions that was memorable. When I first started taking photos, I focused on like, oh, I have to pose people a specific way. So it's like, okay, give Vogue or like boom or something, right? And I think I noticed when I was doing like grad photos, it's like, oh, it's more than just stand in front of a building or look straight at the camera. It's capturing someone's candid joys. The last photo shoot that I did in 2024, right as I graduated, I literally did a photo shoot after commencement. I was dying. My friend, also client at the time, her name was Wendy. Super sweet, super wholesome. She was like, okay, like I got my diploma, and as she's taking like the photos, it's about those moments. And I think once we were at the beach, I was telling her like, imagine, like you're walking up to like your family, and you're like, I did it. Like this is like the work that she did to get her degree, right? It's all the memories that accumulated to maybe like late night studies, hanging out with friends, all the classes, all the homework, essays, finals, all of that stuff. And seeing that reflected in her smile. This is what photography is about. It's being able to share a moment that they hadn't seen of themselves in a light where they're celebrating their joy to the fullest.
Thank you for sharing that story. I love that you were still able to push through and like create something that was really memorable, even like after when you could have just been like, I'm so tired, like I don't feel like trying. I love that it was able to become something that was so memorable. And I love that it doesn't have to be like particularly like so calculated. Nothing wrong with that if people have that style, but I love also like being able to see that genuine emotion captured too so people can like relive that when they look at it.
Sometimes I'll choose photos, even if it's a little bit blurry, because it captures the moment well. And I think that's what separates your work from other that I've seen around. Because anyone can take like a cute little posed, calculated photo, but to capture the feel of like the love that's shared between a couple, the joy, the celebration that you feel after accomplishing a big goal, or even how beautiful someone may feel when they don't always feel beautiful, but you can capture their beauty in a way. Like that is such a skill. That is a skill that takes just a person that is a photographer to a person that is a true artist and has that creative ability. So I think that's incredible because you're such a creative person. I've noticed that about you for a while. I'm curious if you have explored other creative avenues. What was it about photography that made you fall in love with that?
I had a lot of time growing up, and so I explored a lot of different creative things. I remember it started with my older sister. She used to draw a lot. I think I was like 7 at the time. I would see like the type of drawing that she would do, and she would like teach me. Um, so I started to get an interest in drawing through them. So I have 2 older sisters. One is 9 years apart, and then 7 years apart from me. We were homeschooled, so we didn't have like the most traditional background growing up. They would take like painting classes, and I would see like the painting that they would do. So I was like, oh, I want to try some of that, right? And I think throughout the years, I dived into like watercolors. I used to do clay miniatures at one point. On my grandma's side, on my mom's side, there's one photo that I really like of my grandma that we're just goofing around. We were at a Walmart trying on different hats. And I took this one photo of her that, I don't know, just caught my eye because for both of my grandmas on my dad's side and on my mom's side, they were really self-conscious of photos. It was one of the photos that stuck with me. And I think I really wish that I could have had one of those of my grandma on my dad's side. I unfortunately don't have a lot of photos of her, or also photos that showcase who she is. She was like the gentlest soul. She would crack a lot of jokes, but her photos don't reflect that. I guess that's the importance of telling stories as well. And I think for photography, that's kind of what's been built underneath it. It's storytelling.
I love everything you just said. I'm sorry, Sophie. I feel like there's gonna be so much editing because I keep breaking character. But I am almost at a loss for words. That is such a beautiful story. I hear how a lot of your creativity and the ways that you like to express it are so connected to relationships. Like even the different things you tried were connected to family or someone that you love. And I love what you shared about your grandmothers and the story that our photos can tell, and really capturing not just a moment, not just a photo, but the essence of a person.
I think at its core, community is one of the things that is so crucial to us. And one of the things that I've learned is people just want to be respected and understood. I think a part of that is also through creative expression. Like also you, Sophie, how doing the podcast is an outlet for connecting with others. It's a creative expression of life itself.
Oh, this is so wholesome. I love we're just cheesing on here. I was wondering how photographing these couples has kind of impacted the ways that you also see like the love in your own relationship.
This is going to be cheesy too. I think you can see the look of love throughout a multitude of different couples. I think it's the same look of appreciation. But like I can now understand when people are like, oh, they have the look of being in love. Love does require effort and requires work. And I think it's just a reminder to show up on the daily for the person that you care about. It gets tricky to show up to our fullest for the people that we care about. There is a couple that we photographed in Santa Barbara. They were together for 8 years, and on their 8th anniversary, they got married. I think that's just a testament as well to the moments you carry throughout your life to get to the point where they got to get married to each other.
I love that you said it's like the same look across the board. You can recognize it, the look of love. It's in their eyes. That's so sweet. And then I love how you talked about when you described the look, you said a look of appreciation. And then you went deeper into talking about like showing up for each other and the effort that it takes. And it's this mutual giving to one another that I think makes it so beautiful and so healthy and actually love and not, you know, whatever the youngins may be saying love is nowadays. So let's say you have a couple that reaches out to you and wants to do a shoot with you. I'm curious about your creative process, how you go about choosing the vibe, the location.
I'm going to be like a fly on the wall. Imagine you're just on a date together, enjoying the moment. They can feel more connected to each other because it's their story. Everyone has their own story already written. Do they enjoy more of like a scenic or more of maybe like a city, a landscape, nature, like the beach? And thankfully, also with California, there's like a lot of different locations that really encompass that. Something that we like to do as well, it's doing more prompt based interactions and like posing them. Can you tell me of like the first moment where you felt appreciation for your partner? Right? Like to prep couples with a little PDF that shows like clothing inspo if they need anything that could be like their own personal mood boards. When they show up for a photo shoot, it's just them in the moment, nothing else.
Where do I sign up?
Yes. I was like, I believe in love again. What?
And that takes a lot of the pressure off because there are a lot of people that are uncomfortable in front of the camera, you know, or don't feel very photogenic. And so to create an experience like that for your clients is so special for these people that you are like capturing their story for. Something that holds their memory and like you can look at it and feel their love is priceless.
I really appreciate your words as well. Like there's a running joke, if like people don't know, our friend came in, our mutual friend. There is a running joke that when I say the word appreciation, he's like, that's the only word that comes out of it.
Oh, yeah.
I just appreciate, like, I don't know another word to describe. Thank you for sharing.
Of course. And obviously, the word appreciation runs deep because that's how you describe the look of love, too. And the question you ask your couples is when was that moment when you first felt that appreciation for them?
And congratulations on starting your own business. I know that is not
Yes.
easy and you're doing great and I wish you the best of luck. We'll definitely like be able to have like a link or something at the end of the podcast that people can click if they want more information or they're interested in working with you, which you definitely should. You definitely should.
Running your own business is hard. Or starting that in the first process. We've been really fortunate to have a lot of support and connections from other creatives and a lot of other photographers. You may know the name Adan. See like Adan Photography. Lovely soul, beautiful soul. There's another photographer. Her Instagram is Sunny Park Photo. Super grounded. And Alex Hawkins from Santa Barbara. Also another lovely photographer, lovely soul. Everyone can serve as like an opportunity for you to grow and learn from. And I think oftentimes we put more doubts as a block for us to reaching out to other people when they might be more than willing to offer help or to just teach you something that could save you a lot of time and learning that they already went through. We also want to focus more on like weddings and like engagements and elopements. So that's where we're headed next. You'll see more of those through the Instagram content that we'll be putting out. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing about that, Hans. And I'm excited to get into our next topic, which is about internal versus external validation. I think this is a topic that Elon brought up, which is really cool because I wanted to talk about it too. And I think it kind of tied into everything that we we're all kind of like interested in. First question that I had for you about that is if there was times where external validation had made you feel seen, but it didn't leave you feeling fully fulfilled and what that taught you.
I've realized, I think there have been moments where if you're in a group setting, sometimes it's a little weird with social media because I feel like that tends to be like where you can see like, oh, sometimes there's a lot of praise that can happen as well. It's more like the moments in private, like one-on-one, where someone is just sharing something that stood out to them. And it's not because they felt someone else was going to see how they were like reacting to something. I think that's different when you see something that you put online and maybe you receive like comments versus, hey, this is just something that someone shared to you directly.
That makes so much sense. Like, I feel like the same, like, I can feel a difference of when it's like someone intentionally sharing with you, like, something that they see in you that they just like want to like affirm mass validation, like through like Instagram or like different social media where it's like nice to see, but then and I guess nothing fully like fulfills you, but it's still like it's not like the same as like receiving that like directly and intentionally from somebody.
I wanted to ask what internal validation looks like for you and that sense of that inner security and that self-worth and what has helped you cultivate that along your life journey or if there's anything currently that's helping you find your grounding in that internal validation as well?
That is such a hard question to answer as well.
Yeah.
I think it is also a mixture of external validation that then gets internalized in a way. Internal validation is allowing ourselves to step away from holding a magnifying glass to what we create, to what we like to invest our time in. Sometimes learning to just be content in how you created something is a part of the internal validation. Everything that we are doing is just practice for the next thing.
That is incredibly validating and actually really profound, because at least for me personally, there's a lot of perfectionism around creating things that can keep me stuck. And I'm sure there's plenty of other people that are creatives that may not even let what they create be seen because they feel like it's not to what they envision or to their standard or perfect in their eyes. But that validation being more rooted in the contentment in what you create and creating space for it all. Even if something were to be a fail or a failure, it's just part of the learning process. And that the things that we do create are worthy of space. It can take up space and we can share it, even if it's not perfect in our eyes, because that's not the goal.
If we just try, we can first make it exist before we make it good. But you can't make something better if it doesn't exist in the first place.
You're worthy of taking up space, in your art in whatever form it is worth being seen and shared. And there's going to be eyes and ears that will appreciate what you have to share. So that's beautiful. Thank you so much for answering that question.
That was beautiful. I love this so much. I'm just like, I can't stop smiling. And I love your answers. I love Elon's responses. This is so great. And I love the quotes that you shared too. Like, especially the one that I think you said, like, it has to exist before it can be good. Like, you have to, like, put it out into the universe before it can grow and become what it's supposed to be. So, a lot of people, I think, including me, deal a lot with, like, our creative. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna say that one more time. We can have a little break.
A little intermission. I've never been a co-host before.
You're doing great, sweetie. Today's episode is sponsored by Zinnia Boutique.
I can't think of anything else to add. I paused it. I need to do a reboot.
It's okay. I feel like BetterHelp needs to sponsor this for sure.
Honestly, yeah, BetterHelp.
BetterHelp, y'all. I talk about therapy on here all the time. Yes. I also want like a Chipotle sponsorship or something. I don't know.
I could use a good Chipotle bowl right about now.
I really don't have like a chair, so I was on my knees the whole time.
Shut up.
How are you not cramping right now? My legs would have given out. It's been an hour.
Oh my god, poor Hans. I didn't know. You're just like, my favorite thing is. That is so crazy. I'm glad you're comfortable now.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I think like all of us, like as just like creative people in general, we can experience a lot of like unsolicited advice with just like what we should be doing and things like that. That kind of bleeds into our next topic as well. I was wondering like what's kind of helped you, even if it doesn't have to do with anything, like if it doesn't have to do with your art, just like you as a person, what has helped you to deal with like unsolicited advice and like figuring out how to like move forward from that and remind yourself of your internal validation if that's being like contradicted by something else that someone is saying.
That is such a good question. One of my favorite quotes, yes, it's another quote. Only take advice from the people that are in the position where you want to be. Because I think oftentimes everyone has opinions. Like we also have opinions as well. But we only know what we know. With unsolicited advice, everyone is just sharing, sometimes from a place of good heart. And that's also appreciated. Sometimes maybe it's from people that are unfamiliar with something that we're pursuing, or just how we should live life in general. And I like to think back, okay, are they in a position where I want to be in one day as well?
There's like a difference between like constructive criticism and unsolicited advice. And so it's really important to like you said, like kind of remember like where you're hearing that from and like just advice in general for that? Or is that like that other person just projecting their own past, their own insecurities, their own like visions and stuff? Like we just don't all see things the same way. And so I think that's really important.
Some people's experiences may have been harder or more difficult or more challenging. So they may, in an attempt to keep you safe, project and speak a lot of fear or a lot of like, you shouldn't do this or else this terrible thing is going to happen, and that may not be your story. Every single person is an individual. It's so interesting because we like to think that we really know the best thing for someone else. And sometimes we don't know the answer. Only God really knows like what's actually going to be best for a person. But I think for me personally, what helps me discern if it's coming from a healthy source, a good source, a source that I want to create space for that person to speak into me and into my life, is the type of relationship I have with them. If they really know me, because some people don't even know how to pronounce your name correctly. Say, I am doing my online shop, my boutique, and I'm really excited about it. And someone else may say like, "Oh, Elon, you should create pillowcases because they'll do really well and they'll sell a lot faster than if you do journals or whatever." And they're coming from a point of like, I just want you to be more profitable, da 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 da. It can have good intentions. It helps for me to seek to understand more and not just take immediately what people are saying for face value to me, because someone could say like, Hans, when you work with your clients, do X, Y, and Z because it works for me. But they may have never worked with the people you're going to work with for your clients. And you may be trying to create a whole different experience than they're creating, for their clients with whatever they're shooting over here, or whatever way they're doing their podcast over here versus the type of questions you want to do, Sophie. And I think allowing yourself to be an individual and also make decisions for yourself helps you find your own voice. But for me, what I've learned from experience is there were times where I was such a people pleaser that I would value other people's perception of my experience more than my actual experience itself. So if I was like going through something and I was miserable, but everyone else was like, this is amazing, you're so this, you're so that, like, I want this, like, you should pursue it, don't give up on this, do that. Then I would just be like, well, maybe everyone else is right and I'm wrong because they perceive me as being happy and healthy, even though I am not. And then eventually I had to get to a point where I cared more about my real life experience over the perception that other people may have of me. I'd rather in real life be healthy and happy and prospering, even if people think I'm not, than to have the illusion that I am, to fit people's picture of what they think that should look like for me. And so I gauge it that way. Like, is this truly, when no one's looking, actually beneficial for me and is in alignment with what I'm pursuing, what I want, and is full of peace, or is it not? Because if it's not, then it's out because you're the one that's actually going to live it. You don't have to worry about the audience. Like, make sure it's actually good.
Yeah, that's crazy good advice. Thank you for you guys both sharing that. Oh, I love that. I feel like I needed to hear that so bad. And I feel like so many other people did too. I just really love what you guys shared. That was so good. I was just like, I think with the podcast, I will feel that like internal validation when I myself am able to experience like things like this conversation in real time and like have those moments of like, oh my gosh, like I love what this person shared, or like I love being able to share this, and like how things just like kind of come up naturally. Like when I get to experience that like joy or that like feeling inspired in real time, I feel like it validates like I'm doing the right thing and like the hard work of doing this is worth it. I think that's what validates me and just like helps me when I might hear other advice where it's just like, well, like what happened to your short films, honey? Like what happened to Hollywood? And I noticed that like my own love for film. Like I still love it, but I think because I was getting a lot of advice about like, oh well, you just need to like go on like way more sets and you just need to do this and like that'll help you. And I felt like I wasn't really being heard when I was trying to say like this podcast has really been making me happy, and it's something I can do right now where I don't have to wait for somebody to literally hire me to give me this. Like, it's just something that I genuinely like to do. It helps definitely to come back to these moments of where I'm like experiencing that joy, experiencing the good times with like my friends, of like the laughter, even through the bloopers of it all. If I'm messing up, like you guys are still like LOL, like you guys aren't like, ew, you're so unprofessional, you need to go do something else. Like the conversation going on in my head is crazy. But like I know y'all don't I know you don't feel that way. It's like I don't feel that from you. But it's so easy to like I think get into my head when I hear something that contradicts my internal validation. So I think it just helps me to remember these moments, and just in life in general, to remember the moments where I feel very happy, I feel safe, I feel good, I feel like this is where I'm meant to be in life in general. Like I feel like this is gonna come again when we talk about like post grad and self identity and stuff like that. But like yeah, like reminding myself of those moments that God has placed in my life that are still just as genuine and probably even more genuine than it would have been to pursue a different path.
That is absolutely beautiful as well. And how you were even expressing there's a lot of pressure on what your life is supposed to look like based on what you studied or like an interest that you also have. And also just reiterating what both of you said already, it's like you're the one who is living that life at the end of the day. Because I can imagine going through like the editing process and even putting like the Google, let's talk about the Google form as well. Can we take a moment for like the Canva form as well? Just like seeing like the show notes, how it's so detailed and organized, and like girl, that takes time, that takes effort, and that's you showing up for the people you're connecting with. Not only we can feel like really heard and seen, but we feel comfortable in your presence too. When you do feel like those moments of inspiration, you're like, this is the work that I'm putting in, and you feel that creativity and feel inspired. Is there something maybe like a ritual or routine that you like to do afterwards?
I love that question. Thank you for asking that. Um, I think my favorite has just been practicing gratitude, and I love to journal and just like write down the different things that I'm like currently grateful for and make them like super, super specific to where it's things where it's like maybe I would just take that for granted on any day, but like things that I remind myself of like not everybody has this, not everybody gets to experience this. Like even this, for example, like getting to record a podcast with friends on Sunday, on random Sunday afternoon, like with friends who are willing to come on and like share and like give their time, and to have like the technology to be able to record, to have the education to know how to edit, things like that. Like it could just be for, since I've done this so many times, it could just be like, well, yeah, like I could record a podcast with friends, like, but it's like, no, like writing it down and like being so specific about it, I think really helps me to be like, wow, this really, like, I really am grateful for this, and it inspires me to keep going. Like, since I have the privilege of being able to do this, like, what else can I do with the resources and the knowledge and the inspiration and everything that I've been through that pushes me to want to create something new or want to have conversations? And that's usually what pushes me to think of other topics that I'm like, I would really love to talk about this. Like, I wonder who I could talk about this with. So, yeah.
Yay! I remember me and Sophie sitting in the car like years ago, and we would record our own little podcast at our own, like those episodes are lost at sea. I don't know where they are anymore. But like we have some like old content from back in the day. I think it's so beautiful to witness you bring it to life and to allow it to live and to be seen in the earth and to share it with other people and to share your voice, because your voice is so important. And I think it's so powerful when we choose to step into the things that we really want to do, even if we think that it's different than other people's expectations of us or what we think that they're thinking of us. Because sometimes the expectation is we place it on ourselves and we think other people, are thinking the same thing of us. But when you step in confidently towards what you really want to do, then the people that want to support you and maybe were trying to support us by supporting us with what they thought we wanted back in the day with the other things can support us properly as we're walking confidently down the path that we have chosen for ourselves, because people that love you and are here for you want to support you so bad. And sometimes that's where some unsolicited advice comes from, is because they want to help, they just don't know how. So congrats to the both of you for doing that and for standing and walking in the things that you are passionate about, that you have giftings in, and not just hiding it anymore. It's a blessing to everyone that gets to witness it and experience it and be around it.
We're all crying. Like,
We
oh,
need like just a segment of us just like in, just like letting everything settle in, because we're like, we love everything that everyone is saying. Also to you as well, like having your online boutique, and like you mentioned, like if someone is giving you like advice, hold on, I want to show up in a way that is more grounding.
We were talking about advice and unsolicited advice, but I wanted to ask, and I'm open to both of you answering if you both have an answer, is what the most impactful piece of advice you've ever received was and how it has shaped you.
I think there's a lot of things that can stick with us depending on the season of life that we're going through. And I don't particularly have, like, oh, this is like the best advice ever. Sometimes you need to hear that it's okay to rest, and it's okay to know that growth isn't linear in whatever capacity that is. And sometimes you need to hear the piece of advice that tells you nothing changes if nothing changes. You have to be the one to carve out a path of life. And then sometimes you need the advice that tells you to enjoy the moments that you have with the people around. You have to be the one to continue pushing forward. The journey is part of the destination, because oftentimes we're so caught up on the arrival that by the time you arrive, maybe you overlooked all the moments that were so fruitful in adding to your experience. Maybe the destination can be fixed, but the path and the detours that you take are also part of learning where you're going to arrive.
I love wisdom and I love learning from people and their experiences and hearing other people's stories. But there is one piece of advice that just always stuck with me since I was a young girl. And I actually heard about it from both my brother and my mother. And I don't know who told who what. Probably my mom told my brother this, and my brother told me. But it was something along the lines of how, I'm going to butcher it, but it's like if you go through certain challenges in a certain area, oftentimes it's actually preparing you for who you want to become at the end of the day. And if you look at life through that lens, you see challenges and hardships not as things that are taking away from you or making your life hard for no reason, but something that is building you and building something within you that is going to be helpful and necessary for where you're going.
That is top tier advice. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you to my mama. Thank you to my brother. And thank you to my father, because he probably thought of it too.
shout out Mondale, shout out Tina, shout
Shout
out.
out Amane.
Oh, I feel like there were so many things coming to my mind as well, because I was trying to think of like what area has been like the best advice I've gotten. I think like something that has stood out the most has been just, I don't know who told me it or where I heard it from, but it's like something like that's been shared a lot. It's just like that you are not everybody's cup of tea. And I think as a people pleaser, I really needed to hear that. And something about just hearing that, I feel like changed everything for me, because I've heard so much advice about people pleasing over the years of just like, you're worth more, like, you don't have to submit. And like, I'll hear these things and then I'll still like go back to people pleasing. You're genuinely not everybody's cup of tea, but that doesn't take away from the goodness of who you are as a person. Like, sometimes people genuinely will not like you for like no reason. Like, no reason, and you can't control that. But it doesn't mean that you're not a good person because one person doesn't don't or because one person doesn't because one person doesn't like you. Even my faith and stuff, I was like, I want to be liked by like everybody in church. And if I didn't feel that from certain people for like no reason, I felt like, am I just like not enough? Like, what do I need to change? And you could do all of the right things and you could still not be liked by people. And it's a sad reality, but it's just part of life. And I think that just being able to accept that and embrace instead of like the people that do show me that love, that do show me that care, that do show me that they accept me for who I am and I don't need to do this or that to be loved in their eyes. Like I can just be as I am and be the friend I am or the daughter I am or the this or that or the creative collaborator or whatever. But if I don't feel that from everybody, it's okay. And I'm gonna be okay. And I think when I learned and I stopped trying so hard to be liked by everybody, I saw a huge difference in the way that I carried myself, like in every aspect of my life. And I think that's a big reason why I've been able to grow a lot in my confidence and even being able to do stuff like this. Like I was like, I'm not gonna be everybody's cup of tea. Like this podcast is not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, but that doesn't mean that it's a terrible podcast. It's like I feel like a very like piece of advice, like you're not everybody's cup of tea. But like I and I think when I tell myself it, it's like, oh, you're not everyone's cup of tea. Like it's okay. And I'm okay with that, you know?
Some people are coffee people. That's okay. Some people may be tea people, but you know, the people that are tea people really love their tea. They get whole china sets just for you. Even if you force someone to try to like you, it won't be to the same depth as someone who just genuinely already does.
A topic that a lot of people have resonated with here on Andsoph has been post-grad, because I think we all are going through very unique post-grad experiences and it really doesn't look one way from the other. And I think it's really good to have representation on here of what that could look like, whether it's like my situation or for both of you. And so with self-identity, I think like growing up, like being in school for so many years for all of us, like it can be a huge part of our identity and then to all of a sudden like have that no longer be like us being a student at school, like be a part of like I guess our like what we spend the most time doing and different things like that. I don't know, some people can go through an identity crisis. At least that's what it was like for me. I was wondering, I guess like what you have been unlearning about who you thought you had to be after graduation.
Wait, Elon, you're muted.
My short answer for this is unlearning that my life should look like those around me. Because growing up in school, you're in the same grade. You can like look around and see what other people got on their quiz to see how you're doing in the class. But once you're done with that, I think just your 20s in general, like even in college, because some people go to college, some people don't. Some people are married with kids. Some people are, learning how to drive for the first time. Some people are traveling. Like there's everyone's doing something completely different and it's no longer like going through the same things as like with your class, like you're graduating, you're learning the same stuff, like you have that camaraderie. What I've been unlearning is that habit of even looking to my right or my left to kind of see like, okay, how am I doing? Because everyone's path is so different and that is heightened and exaggerated when you're not in school anymore because there's just so much room for anything to happen and it really is your life even if it looks different from others because it's going to. But celebrating the beauty and realizing that there's beauty in it being different and you guys can be in different places and still connect and still celebrate each other.
I think similarly to Elon, being okay that you don't have to have everything figured out. And for any listeners as well, like I studied communication and that's not really linked to like photography, right? um, like there's an aspect of just how you show up for people and seeing what path I could take down with communication. But at the same time, I learned, or I was trying to learn, that it's okay to figure things out and realize you are on your own timeline. What you decide on, that's not permanent. Like things aren't permanent. You have the ability to move in a different direction and to pivot and to change.
I love what both of you guys are saying. I think that's so important and also similar to what I think I've been learning too of like the uniqueness of our own path and being able to celebrate the uniqueness of each other's path and how we're not bound to one thing. We can always explore something else. I feel like that's really helped me, I guess, like embrace that I'm also still really young. Like I feel like that's the thing that people always say. They're like, you're young. Like, but I think that like believing it for myself, like I am really young. I am literally 23. I have been 2 years in post-grad, which to me sometimes can feel like 2 years, like really? Like I don't have it all figured out. But that's only 2 years. So I'm going to mess up. I'm going to have moments of like where I don't know what I'm doing, and it's okay because I've never been in this place before. So why would I expect perfection from myself for doing something that I've never done before and put that much pressure on myself at this age to have every aspect of my life all figured out? Because there's so many different aspects I feel like of post-grad where people expect different things from you in this stage of your life, or I can expect different things of myself. And I'm noticing that the reality of post-grad is very different from the vision I had in my head. So I'm also trying to learn to like grieve whatever I thought this time of my life would be and all those things, but also accept that it's okay that I don't have it all figured out and that it doesn't look exactly how I thought because it's part of the process and I still have so much time to experience all of these things that I desire, even better things that if everything had gone my exact way, maybe I wouldn't have been happy. Like if I got that dream film production job, like feel like everything happens for a reason.
Because everyone can think the grass is greener on the other side, but you don't really know. It's just greener where you invest in it and where you water it. And it's greener where you are because you're there and you're special. And I love you so much. What are some habits that you've been incorporating lately that's helped you feel your best? Even if it's in a small way, something you just enjoy, something that you like doing.
So I would just say like journaling, the lighthearted one. Sometimes I feel like a little gecko, a little lizard. I need some time in the sun. So I'm like, just earlier today, I was like, okay, I have a lot of stuff on my mind. Let me just lay down on the sun and then just like absorb. Like I need to be fed, watered, and have some sun on me.
Yes, that is so needed. Like all those things can make the biggest difference. Similarly, like being outside and like touching grass, like oh my God. Like I feel like especially like in post grad, whatever, like if I'm not going out as much as I did when I was in school, like I think it can be hard to intentionally go out and make that part of my schedule, like that self-care. And I like to go to like different little hidden gems, like those parks that like nobody knows about, or those little waterfalls nobody knows about that are close by, and just go there, set up a blanket, bring my favorite drink, bring a journal. I also like to journal too, and just like enjoy literally like hearing the birds and being like, oh yeah, like there is beautiful creation out here. There's more to life than like all of the weight of like all my issues or like things in my life that can feel ugly, I guess. And then like seeing the beauty around me, I'm like, okay, I just need this time by myself. So I love a good solo nature day.
That's perfect. My answer was very similar. Something about the sunlight is so helpful and brings so much joy and life. And it's been helping me with my sleep schedule, like to go on my little morning stroll. But that sun is so good. And I love not just my walks, but being able to do little prayer calls or little voice memos to my girls in the group chat. So staying connected to my girls.
And I love the voice memos. They are literally podcast length, and I love it. I'm excited to talk about this because it's something that we talked about over our FaceTime that we had about, I guess, like what society's like pressure is on like the view of what healthy masculinity or femininity should look like versus what it actually is. I think that's like a really important topic. I feel like also with self-identity, and being able to grow and like that confidence of ourselves and not like relying on external validation to get through life. My final question for the both of you was if you can recall a time where you felt like pressure to perform, I guess, society's definition of healthy masculinity or femininity, and what you were able to like learn from that to overcome, I guess, that pressure to live as your actual, like, true self that you feel good in and that you feel comfortable in?
I remember growing up, I had a little bit more of fear around men. I was a little bit like, stay away from me all of the time. I was very independent, very boss babe, which is lovely. It's good to be self-sufficient. It did get to a point where I think it was just hard for me to receive help, and I do believe that, like, I've gotten to experience examples of healthy masculinity as I've gotten older, and like really am so grateful for the men that are in my life and how amazing and kind and gentle they are, because I've realized that if I've been around men that felt unsafe, then I was a lot more guarded and a lot more cold and a lot more like, I'll get my own door, but now, and some people may preach that in our day and age, that that's how it should be, like, don't accept help from, da, 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 da. But for me, that was more rooted in a wounded place, not a healthy place. And so as I've grown and gotten healthier and been able to be in relationships and friendships with men that are healthy and I do feel safe with, I do feel more true to myself in how I express, I guess, my femininity, which for me, it's just really just like when I feel safe, I can just let more of my guards down and I can receive better and I can like have more like heartfelt conversations. I just feel a lot warmer. I just feel a lot more warm, a lot more receptive. And I wish I had more time to talk in more depth about this and what it looks like. But I feel like growing up, when I was hearing more things just from the world and all of this stuff, it was more about like protecting myself from men. So I didn't really know how to interact well with them and experience both healthy femininity and masculinity work together. Hans is a great emotionally intelligent man who, like, you have been someone that I always was so grateful for and I would think of that would give me hope in humanity and would make me like, I would literally be like, Hans is a walking angel on the earth.
I feel that was said in such a lovely way. And regarding emotional intelligence, emotional availability, and also the idea of leadership, that's a lot of the role that I saw. Like, oh, if you're like a guy or what falls under like the masculine umbrella, it's to lead, right? And I want to like flip that. I don't necessarily think it's a lot of leading the way, but it's a lot about creating the spaces where everyone has an opportunity to feel heard and voice their opinions. In society, there is already a bias created in all of us, and it becomes like a hierarchy. Because, again, of how society is structured, if you're someone that is masculine or male presenting, if you're placed or looked on to a role of leadership, rather than being like, oh yeah, I know everything, like, no, it's allowing the space where you get input from everyone else, because it's more important to create that inclusive community rather than solely lead, charge into something that you may not even know. Tying that into like emotional maturity and realizing there are a lot of moments where I saw, taking just reference from like my dad, showcasing emotions, but realizing even if they were emotions like of sadness or of pain or frustration, they weren't channeled in a way that could embody emotional regulation. And I think that is so crucial, because oftentimes that leads to a space that isn't the safest. The safest to express, to show our interests. And I feel that sometimes it paints this picture of shame in showing who we are. I realized a lot of the environment that I had growing up was fostered a lot by female relationships and friendships, where a lot of feminine energy was just, you're okay to be who you are, and you can fully express that.
That was so great. Thank you both. I feel like y'all's answers were so good that I'm like, I don't even want to say. I'm so sorry. But I definitely could. I definitely could.
Yes, please.
And I really appreciate your transparency too in the stories you were sharing, like the personal stories. I feel like that can be hard to share as well. A lot of people have gone through that, so I'm glad you both were able to come to your own like healthy definitions of that and like spread that love and like feeling safe with the people around you, because I feel that around you both. Like I was like retweet when y'all was talking. Like I was like, I feel that with you, Elon. I feel that with you, Hans. Like I feel like safe to be myself, safe to share about things, safe to be vulnerable. I just appreciate that with you both. So thank you. Everyone's gonna be sick of us by the end. We're just like I like thought of a really random story. When I was a kid, I thought that part of femininity was needing to be like, I don't know, this is like weird to say, but like needing to be like boy crazy. Like I thought that that was like a part of it. I was not having no crushes yet, and I remember there was just a time where my friends like hung out one day and they were just like they were talking about their crushes and stuff. And I was like, okay. But I just felt like to fit in with these girls, like I have to be boy crazy. And I feel like that was just one of the steps that I took to try to, I think, fit in with the people around me. Like I was like, am I supposed to like really love to like dress like this. Like I was like as I got older, I was like I didn't even like to wear like heels and stuff and like I would just be like, wait, like is this okay? Or I was like, I didn't really get into like makeup either. And there was like certain things where it's like that's like society's definition of like being feminine. But I was like, I don't naturally feel that. But I found myself like forcing myself to try to become that to feel like more accepted with other people around me. And I think as I got older and like I accepted more, I think I like naturally grew into more of who I am and like what actually like makes me feel good. If I want to learn how to do makeup, I can. And that's great. And anyone can learn how to do makeup. It doesn't matter who you are. If I want to wear this dress, I can. Or if I don't really feel comfortable wearing a dress to this event, like that's okay too. I don't like, oh yeah, that's okay. Like it's literally like it doesn't, those things don't just correlate to like girls or like women, you know, like literally anybody can like do those things. It's not just limited to women. So I think even learning that and learning how to also like accept others as well who weren't following those like traditions and seeing them be like truly happy, I think also inspires me as well. Not forcing myself to need to do certain things to fit in with certain groups of people. A lot more of the people I'm around, it's like a lot more diverse in like our styles and like even how we talk or like how we do different things. Like it's all very diverse and I love it. And like no one, I'm grateful for at least the groups that I'm in, the friend groups I'm in, like nobody is like shaming each other for our different types of like self-expression. Like we are all like accepting of each other. I try to have that same level of acceptance with myself and then be able to share that with others.
We're like, that is amazing. Thank you for sharing that now. And older self seeing like younger self, right? Going through like those moments. And I thought this is what femininity looked like, and recognizing a version that felt more aligned with who you felt. Um, and having those groups where you're supporting each other.
And I wanted to say, like, it's so interesting, recounting, because that's such a great question to think about. Like, maybe the first moments we were trying to fit a certain mold and realizing that there was a mold for us to fit into. It's interesting hearing how, when talking about femininity, that it was often correlated with men, but there is something so beautiful I heard, I think, in all of our sharing about really learning how to embrace yourself as a whole person and not just like what other people may think or what we think other people may think of us, you know, because every single person has masculine and feminine energy in them. And just the bottom line of learning how to be a whole well-rounded person. And it sounds like a lot of the common ground too is this desire for safety and acceptance and a safe place to fully be who you are, you know, to fully express yourself and to let some of those walls down and have that sense of safety where, you know, you can have that vulnerability and the space to even be in relationships with people that allow you to grow and for you to discover like who you are. Whether it's like, I may like wearing this type of style versus this type of style, or maybe I pursue this creativity or this creative outlet versus this one, or whatever it may be. I think there's so much freedom learning how to approach life in a way where you allow yourself to be a whole human being, and the question becomes less about how can I fit a mold that I think other people may have versus how can I be healthy, healthy and authentic and whole with who I am, where I am in the season of life that I am, and then have healthy dynamics with people.
This might open a whole can of worms,
Okay.
but maybe like we say for a future conversation, why has the focus of what femininity has looked like has been based on focusing on the male side of something or the involvement of men? So essentially, femininity as looking towards others and not the self, but with masculinity tied as to thinking about the self rather than others. Like, this is messed up. But that's what I'm realizing now. It's like, oh, because if Sophie were mentioning, like, oh, I thought part of being feminine was being boy crazy, then that's focusing on externally someone else. Masculinity, thinking like, oh, you have to be a leader, that's focusing on the self. I'm like, this is messed up. Mm-mm.
Yeah, that's such a great point. Like, even as I was talking, I was just like, wait, ew, like, I can't believe that. I can't believe that. Like, that's such a good point. I think that's really interesting. Like, but yeah, I agree. Like, it's like such a, we could talk about it forever. And I agree that there's so much deeper roots of like how we view certain things and how men can also be viewed very differently in society and how like women can are still enduring the impacts of that. Even though we've made so much progress, there's still so many ways that it just bleeds into the ways that we see each other and we treat each other.
I agree with Sophie. There's a lot of layers to it, down to maybe even the toys that we had growing up as like a little girl, and all the stuff. With the like, I'm gonna cook in the kitchen, and I'm gonna play with the Barbie and have Ken and all this stuff. And it's just something that we learn from a young age. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing, because every person does have masculine and feminine energy, and they do work well together when they're healthy. But I think there has been an unhealthy narrative that has been spread about our society. And I think that like people would be so much healthier, speaking on the feminine aspect of it, so much healthier learning how to, find that sense of inner validation, that sense of security and grounding and confidence, rather than seeking external validation or trying to get validation from men or other people, or all this stuff that may have been ingrained in us from a young age. It's interesting because there's a version of femininity that may be about being boy crazy, but I think healthy femininity is less about that and more about being in tune, like in tune with yourself, and like allowing yourself to be more free, more connected, more warm, and curious. And healthy masculinity, like, oftentimes can create spaces where healthy femininity can thrive. And then healthy masculinity, they should be considerate of others, like you said, Hans, being more of a servant leader than just it's about me and I'm the king and everyone bow down to me, because that's the unhealthy version of it. So I think what we've experienced might have been a lot more of toxic masculinity and toxic femininity narratives. And as we get older, we're learning like, oh, there's a different way to go about it that might be healthier for us individually apart from masculinity and the other side, but also together in relationship with one another. It is a whole can of worms. But there's hope. But there is hope. And I'm glad that we are learning how to how to think outside of the box that we may have been presented. When I think about toxic masculinity too, I also think about how sometimes men are given a version of masculinity that is based off of women too, though. They're like, you can't cry, like, don't be a girl, you can't cry. Don't run like a girl. Don't throw like a girl. Don't do this. Da, 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 da. Like there could be a lot of it too that is that comparative narrative, or they base their masculinity on how many girls they get. Like, you're a real man if you can get a bunch of girls. You can da 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 da. So there could be that narrative on both ends of like using the other for a sense of security and self, but that's not, in my opinion, the healthy way to go about defining who you are as a person and what makes you a woman or what makes you a man, what makes you feminine, what makes you masculine, all that stuff. I think it takes a lot more looking inward than outward to define who you are as a person, period, regardless of what kind of person you are or what you wear, what you do, or da 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 da, you know? Because there's plenty, because these things don't have to be gender rolled like that. It's just our culture and our society and the narrative in the media and all that stuff. But it is good to question, it is good to get curious, and it is good to dig a little deeper. It's okay to cry. And it's okay to lead, girls. It's okay to have both.
Retweet, retweet. It's okay
Mhm.
to cry. It's okay to lead. Women
Mhm.
are not inferior to men, and men are not inferior if they express their emotions.
It's okay for women to take up space, and that your presence is not a disservice to others.
Hans, did you ever watch the Barbie movie?
Yes,
Yeah, we talked about the Barbie movie the last podcast, me and Elon's podcast.
y'all watched it with Cayman, right? I
Jimmy.
think so, because
We watched it with Kim and Jimmy, and we forced them to wear pink.
he's okay. He's expanded his color palette, so that's a plus.
I think that brings us to the end of our episode. Yay! We did it, y'all. I'm so proud.
It's been so lovely. I feel like there's been like so many different like conversations that we're like, okay, we go off like a whole path and just like explore.
Thank you, Hans. And remind us again where we can find you.
So on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and also just like the website, it's just Hans Herman Photo. Instagram is the only one that's like Hans Herman Photo LLC. Yeah.
You can find me at smile underscore it's Elon on Instagram. Or you can find me at zania.bow for boutique. It's ZANIA.BOU on Instagram. And you can follow along on my boutique. I'm going to have a launch of some new products soon. So everything I had up is not available currently, but you can follow along so you can be one of the first to find out when the next drop comes.
Yes. I can't wait. I'm excited. And I will have their links below in the description. But thank you guys all for listening to this episode of Andsoph. If you want to follow along with the podcast, you can subscribe on YouTube if you're watching this video version and click the notification bell so you know when these podcasts come out on here. Or you can listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify also. It will say Andsoph. You can also follow me on Instagram at AnsopHPod, where I'll be posting just different things about when the episode will be out and different behind the scenes. And then you can also follow me on TikTok, which is just unhinged content, you know? Whatever I want to post on there goes up. But thank you again to my first co-host ever and returning guest, Elon. And thank you to my wonderful guest, Hans. You both did amazing, and I just am so grateful for you. And I feel like this moment we had, it literally just felt like a FaceTime. Like, this is literally one of our FaceTimes, and I feel like so grateful. And I'm so excited to hear how people react to what you shared as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having us, Sophie, and for allowing me to co-host with you. I feel honored. I'm so proud of you, so proud of you both. So happy to be here. So grateful to know people like you both. Blessings on all of your creative paths and journeys. I'm so excited. I will be looking at the little sign-up sheet for your photography, Hans.
Yeah.
Expect to see me in there.
I'd be so honored to capture your love. And also,
I was about to eat.
and I am excited, Elon. You have to let us know when you have new merch. Yeah.
Let us know early. We're gonna stock up, and maybe we'll have an Andsoph discount code again.
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Sponsored by Zinnia Boutique. Bye,
Bye,
Pookie.
everybody.